You know, when sometimes you have this urge or this need to be able to share and your thoughts, I've recognized that there are certain people that really don't care, and ultimately it's not necessarily that they just don't care, it's just that, well, yeah, I guess that's that's really the gist of it. They just don't care. And it's just not, they're not ready for it. Well, I just found out from somebody that I love and care about that there is an issue that was ultimately or is ultimately plaguing her, and it's, I don't know if you would call it a condition, if there was, she just basically said that there was a name for it. And I appreciated it because I had basically explained and shared, and there was a couple of us in the room. And when she had shared that, I said, thank you for letting me be aware, because now I know how to approach this. And I kind of wanted to share my thoughts, but they weren't in the mood. And it kind of got bothered me because I wanted to share that. I wanted to share with them and say, hey, you know what? I know what that's like. Like I don't have that same thing, but having epilepsy, and ultimately denying it for years or trying to figure out what's going on, what's wrong with me, something like that. Well, I use the term weakness often. And when I say weakness, it's ultimately something, in my opinion, it's either something that we don't like, something that's different, something that makes us unique that maybe we don't want. Maybe it's a difficulty with light. If we needed to turn off the light and I hit my footstep, it's going to be a lot darker, right? Because I can fit into that. But maybe it's sounds, right? Smells, certain things that are a problem, like me, epilepsy, right? Well, she had talked about this thing that was a problem to her. And she talked about it kind of like it was nails, like nails on a chalkboard. It just like freaks you out. Well, one of these things was about slurping. And it's like, that kind of stuff. And hopefully that didn't freak anybody out if they're watching. But it was interesting to me because I told her, you know what? Yeah, it's kind of like me, and like people that like, that bothers me. It drives me nuts. And she's like, no. This is like, it enrages me. It's something that bothers me so much that like, I just want to scream. And I was like, wow. And I didn't know anything about this. This was totally, and it was because I was eating food and I think I had slurped some au jus from my French dip at Arby's or something. But what had happened is it opened up a whole new reality for me. I tried to use the example that I think Sven, is it Sven? Yeah, on Frozen, where he talks about all, men pick their nose and eat it. And somebody else was freaking out and like, ew, gross. And it's like, no, calm down. But here's the truth of it. If you're watching this is something that I definitely want to share and express, because this is what celestial dating is all about. This is what the orange tie guy is all about. This is something that feels like it's like a life mission for me. Companionship inventories are absolutely essential. And I say that in the term companionship inventory because it is mandatory. And when I say mandatory, I'm talking about it is a must, it is a necessary, it is a vital piece of our lives to be able to communicate effectively that we're actually connecting one with another. Because the biggest issue that we run into is the fact that people don't connect. They don't actually communicate effectively enough where they're connecting. It's like, oh, I understand. We're not doing as Stephen Covey put in it, the 7 habits. We're not, seeking first to understand, then to be understood. But I realize this because I've got a friend who's got another weakness, and he says, maybe he's thinking, his verbiage. He doesn't put sentences together or conjugate effectively. And honestly, in my opinion, not a lot of people do. And it's something that has to be a learned attribute. It's something that we overcome, right? It's this process. And whether you want to call it a weakness or not is irrelevant. I call it a weakness because, again, in my mind, I'm thinking if it's something that we don't like, we don't want, right? Like if I can't lift a 50-pound bag of grain over my shoulder, does that mean I'm weak? No. But it is a weakness because I want it to become a strength. I want it to become better. I want it to become different. So the whole purpose of me even sharing this is the fact that, number one, first and foremost, we need to be open and transparent. V-Stag all the way. Vulnerable, sincere, transparent, authentic, genuine. We need to be V-Stag. And it's not fearing. And that's the biggest issue that I'm seeing all the time is people just fearing. I got to tell you, if I had more people that would be more transparent, more open, not just with others, but with themselves, and be willing to share the things that they're afraid of, the things that they're, tired of harboring, and that it's an issue. Like, for example, this person that I love and care about that is saying, I get enraged. And it's like, wow, I didn't know that. And this is the simple point that I want to get to it, if I can get to it in 60 seconds or less from here, is this. First and foremost, if you're going to build a relationship with somebody, and I think about a marriage, right? An eternal companion, somebody you love unconditionally and they love you unconditionally. But she doesn't like where I, laugh, or maybe I like, right? I make some kind of weird noise, right? Then all of a sudden she can share that with me and say, you know what, Anthony, it drives me nuts when you kind of breathe through your nose, kind of a thing. But I just want to let you know, but I own that. It bothers me. I need to take care of that. But I just wanted you to be aware of it. I appreciate that person so much more because now I'm aware of it. Now, granted, she can't hold that against me and, manipulate that whole sense of, hey, I told you I hated this and then you still do it. No, that's just who I am. And yes, I can address that, or I can choose not to. That's my choice. But that's where we become interdependent. It's the fact that, we have an effective relationship because they're being transparent and they're letting me know that it bothers them. But at the same time, if all of a sudden she's freaking out or withdrawing or being, quiet and giving me the whole cold shoulder and I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, I don't know. Sometimes she doesn't know. Maybe they don't know, right? But at the same time, it's recognizing. It's saying, you know what? I'm willing to share this with other people and say, you know what? Yeah, I've got this problem, or I don't know what's going on with me, and here's my issue. Like with me in epilepsy, I had that denied it for over a decade. Well, it wasn't quite that, but I'd probably say about 6 years. Oh, I don't have epilepsy. It's just, it's an episode. I would use that. No, it's a straight up seizure. Okay. I had a grand mal seizure. That's epilepsy. So thank goodness to drugs. I'm super grateful, and I maybe need to hashtag give thanks on this. But when it comes down to medication, because I haven't had an episode in almost 2 years, but when it comes down to it, it's being vulnerable. I mean, I'm not going to full out on a first date say, hey, guess what? I've got epilepsy, so accept me or don't. No, but at the same time, it's going to be like, yeah, I've got epilepsy. And if they don't love me unconditionally, regardless, well, I'm kind of afraid that you may have an epilepsy episode. Well, I haven't had one in 2 years. Well, I'm still afraid, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, I create the fear inside of me, and I don't want to share anything with other people. I'm not going to be V-Stag, right? I'm not going to be vulnerable, sincere, transparent, authentic, or genuine. So simple truth is this. I'm grateful, first and foremost, that she shared this information with me. Secondly, now I know and I'm aware that when I'm, slurping up au jus sauce, I could be conscientious of it and say, oh, don't do that around her. That's going to be a problem for her. Nails on a chalkboard. I don't like that. I don't want to be around that. So stay away from it. Secondly, it's not that secondly. Thirdly, it's the idea of the fact that now that I'm aware of it, she can recognize and know that I care enough about her that if I'm going to remove myself, or if there's an issue, or if I see her reacting, I'm not going to freak out and say, what's wrong with you? Get over yourself. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be conscientious of that. I love and care about her enough to recognize that that's an issue for her and be like, oh, my bad, totally forgot. Right? It's like maybe somebody that sneezes, achoo, and then they don't say, oh, excuse me, right? It's like, hey, you need to say your excuse. Whatever it is, it's conditioning, right? It's something where you cultivate and improve. It's been longer than 60 seconds, but simple and straight to the point is this. If we're going to build solid, effective relationships, celestial ones in my head, higher than the cosmos itself, we need to be open. We need to be transparent. We need to communicate. We need to connect. And if we're able to do that effectively and recognize we've got weaknesses, but also the fact that we're attributing to or we're addressing that, that's awesome. If somebody can share information with me, and if I can retain that, remembering, with my Swiss cheese of a brain, it's the idea if it sticks to that, great. And then I can do something better. I can be better, and it can help me. But at the same time, not expecting or that person to expect me to do this. Oh, by the way, I like strawberry, or chocolate covered strawberries, and expect me to do certain things. No, we need to be more attentive and recognizing, okay, I shared this, but I own it. I don't expect anybody else to do anything. If they do it for me, awesome, right? If I'm living in the poorhouse or I'm having a problem at home, other people may be aware of it. They can do something or not. That's up to them. But at the same time, am I going to be ashamed or afraid to tell somebody that I'm in this problem or situation or have this weakness or whatever it is? No. We should get over ourselves and stop doing that stupid stuff. And we need to be recognizing, guess what? We've got flaws. We got weaknesses. All right, this is under 10 minutes, but nonetheless, I recognize and I am appreciative of people that are open and transparent, not with just me, but themselves. So this is Anthony White, the Orange Tie Guy, just giving you a simple, orange tie guy on the fly. Hope you're having a great day.